What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic Saturday night. The Miami Hurricanes defeat the Temple Owls 41-7. Got to say, Ross, we took care of business on the road in Philadelphia. We held Temple for the entire game, 11 rushing yards. Very impressive. Um, by the way, we ran the football for 323 total rushing yards. Tyler Van Dyke, 17 out of 24, 220 passing yards, 3 TDs. Xavier Streppel, 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Jorbs, 5 receptions, 90 receiving yards. Hey, we got the win. We looked impressive. We took care of business. What else can we say?
This was exactly what we wanted to see. We're on the road. It's our first road game. We're getting tested by a team that we know doesn't have the talent that we have. We come out early, and what do? We put points on the board, Paul. And it's fantastic to see. It's great to see that we're not just waiting anymore and waiting to develop this or that or the other. We come out firing. The mishaps on defense early, thankfully their quarterback Warner didn't hit on some of those because it would look a little different. But I still think no matter what, we're winning that game. But still, though, I'm glad to see that the DBs cleaned that up after those mishaps. They cleaned it up pretty well after that.
Moonlight Meat, greatly appreciate the comment. Greatly appreciate your support. I think defensively we're a little bit slow in the sense of energy wise. You're playing in a different kind of weather. It's rainy, it's windy, it's an empty stadium, it's Temple. We're going to win this football game no matter what. I don't think we were fully energized defensively for the game. So Corey Couch did make up for it. I mean, he had 2 interceptions, whether the ball was given to him. He still made the INT, which is what matters the most. Yeah. I think what I took from this game, I've been saying this for since game 1. Offensively, we can rely on our run game and still win a lot of football games. Yeah. That's how loaded we are at the running back position unit. Also, too, we're only keeping it at a 3 wide receiver rotation. Yeah. The main targets are really Colby Young, Xavier Streppel, and Jacoby George, and that's completely fine. Eventually, if I'm nitpicking, I would like to see Brashard Smith get more targets. I've been a big fan of Ray Joseph. I know he made a couple freshman mistakes, but you saw, the upside, the electric ability he brings to the table when he was given some opportunities today. Look, the offense is looking great. Defensively, we're flying around the football. To keep a team to literally 11 rushing yards the entire game, very impressive. Thomas scored 2 sacks as well. Transfer portal guy, nice to see him make that impact. And Leonard Taylor with the sack. So I'm really excited, and I'm glad we're going into this bye week before Georgia Tech because, Cam Kitchens was out, Mesidor as well. So was Dean. We can get guys healthy. We saw Parrish and Matt Lee, they were injured towards the end of the games. Mario Cristobal said their injuries are nothing to worry about. Luckily, we had the bye week. So they have they have 2 weeks to rest, basically, till Georgia Tech. So we're in a great position heading into conference play against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and we took care of business against Temple.
It was, like you mentioned, Thomas Gore getting those 2 sacks. That was great to see. I don't know what that means for the future for him, but if he can become a rotational piece for us, as a kind of a pass rush specialist, he's a little undersized, which can help sometimes. If he can come in, and be a rotational pass rush guy for us, and get pressure, that would be fantastic. You want to get pressure however you can get it. You know what I'm saying? The linebacker play, once again, I'll say it like I said last week, it's just night and day compared to what we've seen in the last 15 years, 20 years. This linebacker core, these 2 guys leading the way right now, Basainth and Malinoa, are just, they're game changers out there for us, Paul. That sideline to sideline speed, getting involved in the pass game, getting involved in the run game, it's changed our whole defense, man. It really has.
What about Jaden Davis? The impact player coming in from Oklahoma, local product out of South Florida. What an impact he's made defensively. Played outstanding today against Temple. Those are the guys we're seeing make a big impact
Yep.
defensively. Francisco Mauigoa, Jaden Davis, Thomas Gore made 2 sacks today. A lot of big impact players benefiting from this defense that Lance Guidry has as well. Um, Got to say, man, I'm really excited for conference play. We saw Florida State beat Clemson. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we got to take care of business against Georgia Tech. It would be really nice to beat Clemson at home finally.
Yeah. My hope, and I'm sure your hope, is by the time we get to that point, we get a little bit more of our depth going, and they're a little more confident. The guys like Ray get their chances a little more, and
Yeah.
just get feeling a little more comfortable in the offense and stuff before we have to face off against the powerhouse. Because we're gonna need our depth at times. There's gonna come times where we flat out need them due to various scenarios, and
Yeah.
we saw how electric Ray is when he gets the ball in his hands, Paul. We saw it, man. I mean, you've been saying it this whole time, man. That speed. He's proven that he's got it, and he's got that short burst quickness that I love. That's so vital in today's game, getting yards after the catch.
And I think Brashard Smith, I mean, honestly, over time, I think he'll be added to the rotation
Yeah,
to get more targets. He's deserved it. Every time he gets the ball, he makes plays. At some point, you're going to have to expand from 3 wide receivers
yeah,
at some point in the season. And I think it's going to happen in conference play. I think it's fair to say we do not utilize the tight ends at all in this offense. 4 games in, they were not even targeted today.
that's what I was
It's
gonna
just
say,
not a
man.
part of the offense. Whether you're okay with that, whether you're against it, we're scoring points. And you know what? This is the best offense we've had in a while. So, hey, it is what it is. Miami traditionally does use tight ends. We are known to be tight end U, and it is tradition to have great tight ends at Miami, but it's just not a part of the offense under Shannon Dawson, unfortunately.
We also got to remember that these were tight ends that were brought in while Shannon Dawson wasn't, kind of in
Right.
charge of what the offense was. So we don't know if these guys truly match up the way that Shannon Dawson wants to run his offense. As we've seen, McCormick is out there most of the time because he's a steady blocker. I'm
Right.
not quite sure where, I saw Riley Williams, he was getting out there a little bit occasionally. He got out there in some goal line plays and stuff. But, it's still odd to me that we're not looking for them even in the red zone, Paul. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just odd to me that we're not looking to these guys who are, basically jumbo wide receivers is what they are with their athleticism and their size. But at the same time, like you mentioned, how can we complain when we've got our wide receivers putting up the numbers they're putting up and the running
Right.
backs putting up the numbers they're putting up? So as long as points are going on the board, man, I can't complain. And the fact that we're doing it on the run, on the ground, and in the air just makes it harder and harder for every DC that we face against to try to match up and stop us.
Ross, how about the offensive line? I think it's been a complete 180
Yes.
from last year.
Yes.
Very impressed, with that unit. What are your overall thoughts that you've seen 4 games into the season? Because I mean, it's just night and day from last year.
The cohesion that Lee and Cohen have somehow brought to this offensive line, it's incredible. I haven't really seen it happen before quite so quickly, honestly. It's been a long time if it has happened that quick. Anyway,
Right.
it's been a while, They have gotten these guys to gel as a unit, and it's been pretty tremendous, honestly. And I think having Cohen and Lee in there as experienced leaders has
Yep.
truly been huge for guys like Mao Noah on the end. He's still going through his ups and downs, but each week he's getting better and better. And his physical strength is just amazing, man. For a true freshman, his physical strength is off the charts, and he's helping lead some of the big runs that we have, dude. We go to that outside run to the right side. He clears that way, man, for us. Parrish gets to the outside often because of that.
It's interesting. You mentioned, Francis Mauigoa. He's only a freshman.
Yeah.
Look at our wide receiver rotation. All those guys are juniors. Kobe Young's probably going to come back next year. Xavier Restrepo. So I think George is I think he's on the path to be an NFL ready wide receiver. But that's just my opinion. Our running back room, everyone should return. I mean, offensively, we're loaded. The future's looking bright.
Yeah. we're seeing it in small increments here and there, but that's okay. I mean, that's kind of how you want to see it. You want to see it,
Right.
you know, you don't want to put too much pressure on these guys. And the way that we're doing it is, I think we're handling it the right way. We're giving them their opportunities. If they make mistakes, we're allowing them to go out there and fix those opportunities. And that's what's important, because we've had staffs before where if a young guy made a mistake, he wasn't able to go out there and prove that he could do it right again. He was back on the bench and he was just sulking, basically.
Right.
Our new coaches, this new the new DC, the new OC, they're allowing these younger players to make up for their mistakes. And that's how you learn, and that's how you grow, and that's how you get better in the sport. And I'm glad to finally see it, Paul. I really am.
And talking about the young players, Ruben Bain Jr., I mean, he had 3 total
Oh, yes.
tackles today. He's getting in early in the action. The
Yes.
transition from high school to his freshman year of college football has been incredible. I mean, he's ready to play at the Power 5 level. He's someone you can rely on in big games. Look at the 180 with Daryl Porter Jr. from last year. That was someone who, I had a question mark with Daryl Porter Jr. coming into the season with our secondary. Cornerback play for me was an issue, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that issue's been resolved.
I'm impressed, man. Like, I didn't see that turnaround coming, honestly, for Porter. If I figured, if anything, he might turn into just a steady guy, but he's been a little more than steady for us. I mean, he's missed some opportunities here and there. Every DB does, but he's been pretty damn good for us, Paul. He really has.
And Jaden Harris as well. I mean,
Yeah.
coming in, filling in,
Yeah.
for Cam Kitchen's role.
Yeah.
Incredible job. Markeith Williams getting in on the action. This is really impressive.
We're willing to put the young guys in there. We're giving them shots, Paul, and that's what's great.
Yeah.
Normally you wouldn't see an opportunity where a guy like Cam Kitchens goes down and you see 2 younger guys getting opportunities to get their shots, like Harris and Markeith Williams. Usually it would be just the whoever the main backup was behind them. We're given opportunities. I love it, man. I love it.
What do you think it is, Ross? I mean, James Williams, this is the first time we've actually seen him really play like a 5-star recruit. He's moving around the field. He's playing loose. He's being an athlete. We're tackling so much better from last year. Corey Flagg Jr. has been a 180. You've seen the impact Jaden Davis has made. Daryl Porter Jr. Ruben Bain's getting in on the action early. Why do you think so many guys are just playing so much better in this defense?
This is what good coaching does, and this is what happens when you find the right players to fit your scheme.
Right.
This is what happens.
I agree. No, I completely agree. It's going to be interesting. We have Georgia Tech in a couple of weeks. We can't bypass this team because, they only lost to Ole Miss by 20 points, I think. They were in a shootout with Louisville. This could be a 3-1 football team. They're beating Wake Forest at the half by a lot. They can easily be 4-1 going into the game against Miami. Then they have Bowling Green before Miami, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, we can't look past Georgia Tech at all.
No.
But I think we should take care of business against Georgia Tech. And I think a big test is going to be UNC with Drake May. UNC always has a good offense. They've had great quarterbacks in the past. And we always play in Chapel Hill. It's always been a close game, or UNC blows us out, unfortunately. We've never blown them out.
Paul, can you imagine? I mean, of course, we don't like to always jump super, super far into the future, but I mean, I just from a buzz standpoint, just from the love of college football standpoint, could you imagine what it would be like if both Miami and Florida State are undefeated by the time they meet up? Can you imagine?
I would love that. I kind of was rooting for Florida State to beat Clemson for that reason. I want both teams to be undefeated when we play each other in Doe Campbell. I think that would be the incredible epic matchup of the season.
It would just be it'd be the nationwide game. I mean, it'd be coast to coast,
And you know what the thing is, Anthony? The difference there is that in 2013, Miami didn't really have a shot against the Jimbo Fisher, Jameis Winston, Florida State Seminoles. We really didn't. We knew it was kind of a game that was out of stretch. This time around, hey, we have a shot to win every single game on the schedule. There's not a game where we're circling and we're saying, you know what, we'll probably lose this game. No, we look good. We look very good. And I think we gotta have to take it 1 week at a time. And I hope that's the mentality for this team as well. They're not looking past Clemson when they have to play Georgia Tech.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed something as I look at the stats, and what amazes me is how far we're stretching our depth now, Paul. I mean, the amount of guys who are getting not just a half tackle per game or one tackle per game, two tackles per game, getting involved in the game enough to get those kind of stats going. I mean, we haven't seen this in a long time, dude. We really haven't seen this in a long time, and it's the more I look at the stats, the more I look at the individual stuff, the more excited I get because I mean our coaches are honestly willing to give these guys shots. I mean, Chris Johnson within just 4 carries, 8.2 yards per carry.
He looks really good.
And he's our back end running back right now. I mean, our running backs are that loaded right now that we have a possible elite running back as our 4th stringer currently.
I mean, look who started the game was Don Chaney. And then Henry Parrish ran for 136 rushing yards.
Chaney did great to start the game.
We did not see AJ Allen in the game at all, which I don't know why we didn't see him because a lot of people do like him, including myself. I don't know. I don't want to point the finger. Maybe there was an off the field issue. I thought it was weird. He didn't play in this game. Mark Fletcher looks great. I thought that was a touchdown. I didn't think it was a holding call on Rodriguez. I thought that should have been a touchdown. I thought Kobe Young, his second touchdown that was called back, the first one was a hell of a catch. I thought the second one was an amazing catch. I don't think that was offensive pass interference either.
Yeah.
I thought some of the penalties at the end were a little bit questionable, very questionable.
Yeah. I got a question for you, Paul. What do you make of the fact that not only getting Ray involved in the offense, but actually manufacturing plays for him where he is the focus and the ball is absolutely going to him on that play? Where do you think that they're starting to see something week by week in practice where they're going, hey, this guy is we need to start giving him more opportunities? Or are we just kind of seeing just the basics still scratching the surface?
I think we're seeing. Look, I think they see the upside. They see the high talent of Ray Joseph. Right? I think everyone does. Yeah. But I think they're trying to ease him into college football. He did make a couple mistakes. I mean, he basically just fumbled a football. I mean, it was a forward pass, but I mean, he basically just dropped it when they gave him a third opportunity, which can happen in big games. So I think they're trying to ease him into college football. I think one time when he was lining up in the line of scrimmage, he was way offsides. Way past the line of scrimmage. In one play, he fixed himself quick, but there's still rookie mistakes he's making, but he does have a very high upside. Personally, for me, I think Brashard Smith, and I'm going to repeat this again, he needs to get involved more. I think he should be our punt returner. I think Restrepo is just kind of like, hey, fair catch guy. I think that's what Restrepo really does. He kind of reminds me of Braxton Berrios returning punts.
Yeah,
very conservative. Very conservative. Why not? You saw with Brashard Smith with a kickoff return against Texas A&M. He had a nice kickoff return today against Temple. Get him in the punt return game. Why not? Do you not trust him? Let's, give him some time. I thought, these 4 games, I guess 3 out of the 4 games would have been great to test that out.
Yeah.
Why switch it up? Don't have Restrepo return punts, unless you want to be conservative, which Mario is known to be.
We might have made that decision in week 0, Paul. They might have just throughout practice and everything, they might have just said, look, we're going with Restrepo because we're simply not going to give turnovers. And what a turnover after a punt can be, because more than likely that ball is ending up really close to your red zone or in your red zone. So we want to keep it safe is my guess, and just kind of we're not looking for anything flashy back there, unfortunately. Right. I'd like to see Brashard get a shot, but we both know there's a difference between fielding a punt and fielding a kick,
And keep in mind, Mario as a coach is very conservative.
Yeah, by nature, yes.
Remember one of the final drives where Tyler Van Dyke aired it out to Jacoby George for a touchdown. Mario wanted to run the clock out. He turned to Shannon Dawson and said, "Hey, we can run the clock out here." Shannon Dawson said, "Hey,
No, we're
no,
keeping it.
let's yeah, let's put this one away.
Yep.
If it's there, let's air it out." And he gave Shannon Dawson an opportunity, a chance to show that, and he did. And that's how you build trust within your staff.
Yeah.
Because if there's an interception there, we turn the ball over, it doesn't work out. That's how you lose a little bit of trust. So it worked out great. But remember, Coach Cristobal's philosophy is not going to be aggressive. It's going to be very conservative. That's just how he operates.
I think we're trying to find that mix currently still, between the conservative style that Mario wants to play, where it's safe while still allowing big plays to happen and explosive plays to happen. And I understand that. I mean, being a team that doesn't turn the ball over often is a big deal. It really is. Being a team that keeps the ball in your hands, safe, less fumbles, less interceptions, all that stuff. Winning the turnover battle is one of the big things for Mario Cristobal, and it always has been. So I totally agree. We will see that conservative side through Mario throughout his entire career, no matter what, in certain areas. But thankfully, though, it seems to be that he is opening up a little bit more and more as time goes on and adjusting to the game, adjusting to the current game. And that's what we need to see, and that's what a good coach does.
Right. Absolutely. I've been watching a lot of college football the past 4 weeks. It's early, but does Florida State look like they're completely way ahead of Miami as the number 4 team in the nation? Absolutely not.
No.
Alabama still really, Milroe's hanging in there as their quarterback, but if he gets better, great. But I think quarterback play is a big issue. I think they have a great defense.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's one team that's completely ahead of everyone. Georgia's been, they've won games, they're undefeated, but are they the most dominant team in college football? Look at Ohio State. They've been struggling. They don't really have a quarterback. Yeah. They're playing Notre Dame tonight. I like Sam Hartman a lot from Notre Dame. Let's see what happens tonight. But, this is an opportunity for a lot of teams in college football to take advantage of this season. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sleeper teams that sneak up, make a lot of noise. Oregon destroyed Colorado today. Washington's another good football program. Maybe a couple teams in the West Coast sneak up, but Miami has a golden platter in front of them to take over.
Watch out for Duke, man.
Yeah, look at Duke. Duke beat Clemson, slapped them in the face first game of the year. This is a year. It's interesting.
Elko's a good coach, man. And right now they have a good quarterback. Like, honestly, they have a legitimate quarterback right now. If guys haven't seen him yet, check out his film, man. They have a legitimate quarterback now.
Yep. So, look, Florida beat Tennessee. Utah looks like a good team. They won over UCLA 14-7, nothing crazy, but I think it's up for the taking this season for a lot of, college football programs. And I think Miami, with the schedule they have, everyone is beatable. There's not a team that looks like it's going to be a, tough matchup for the Canes. So we got to take advantage, of this season, and we got to take one game at a time as well. We can't look ahead to Clemson when we have Georgia Tech.
I will say, Paul, after watching, the games that I have seen in this short season so far, we are up there with the most electric teams in the nation as far as production on offense and defense. We're not, even though the rankings will show that there's a big gap between us and a team like Florida State, right, we are not that far behind Florida State. We are simply not that far.
I think the key this year for Miami is staying healthy, Ross.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the key, is stay healthy. That's it. If we're a healthy football team, we're going to be fine. We're going to be completely fine. I don't know when Kitchens is returning. I don't know when Mesidor is returning, when Dean's returning.
Me either.
Parrish and Lee went down today. Coach Cristobal said they're fine. We have a bye week. I'm hoping they'll be good to go come Georgia Tech. It seems like they will. So it's staying healthy, Ross. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. I think it's about, especially when we get up in these certain games too. Because Georgia Tech, while we can't overlook them, Georgia Tech is also a team that we could hang a lot of points on if we come out and we play our game right. Making sure that guys get out and not take unnecessary injuries is one of my big things this year. If we get up by a certain amount, it's getting in the fourth quarter or it's late in the third quarter. Trust this depth, because you know what? Some of this depth is actually starting to perform and starting to look pretty decent. So why not give them a shot?
Exactly. And I will say, I think Parrish should have been pulled out of the game. So Tyler Van Dyke as well.
Yeah,
You know,
me too.
Lee as well. I think
Yes,
those were injuries you could have been avoided.
I agree absolutely.
And
Especially,
simple.
yeah, especially when you have Mark Fletcher and Chris Johnson, two freshmen that you're seem to be comfortable handing the ball off to already this season. So why
Right.
not let them kind of break out a little bit more? Why not?
27 minutes in. Greatly appreciate for everyone coming on the scoop on the U, talking about the Miami Hurricanes beating the Temple Owls 41-7. Cupcake season is over, heading into conference play. Any
Yes.
questions, any topics you want to talk about, put them in the chat. We'll cover it. But it is definitely a great time to be a Miami Hurricane. We're 4-0. Feels great. We got Georgia Tech coming off the bye week. You know, no one likes a bye week, but it is necessary for every college football team.
I will say I like what Fresh 3542 has been saying in here, talking about the 2024 linebackers that we've been going after. We have been going after some straight up beasts, and they are absolutely interested in Miami because they're seeing how our defense has changed and how we allow our linebackers now to kind of just cause havoc. We let them just kind of just run sideline to sideline, downhill if needed. I mean, we let these guys just wreck shop. And that's what players want to do. They want to see that. They love that. They love that bull in the china shop mentality. They love seeing it. What did you think about the penalties today? Was any concern there for you at all?
Got sloppy towards the end, It got very sloppy, I think as well. I mean, there were a couple penalties, the refs that were very questionable. I mentioned it, Rodriguez holding call when Fletcher had a big run. I thought that was clean. I thought Kobe Young's touchdown that was called back was not offensive pass interference by any means.
No, I don't know.
By any means.
I think he's talking about not Travis Hunter, the other one, the quarterback from FSU. Yes, Bain was cooking today. Bain was absolutely cooking today, even though the stats aren't electric. They're not just popping off the screen. Bain was back there causing problems. He was getting back there causing early pressure. And when you can get early pressure, or at least get your offensive lineman on his heels pushed backwards, you start disrupting plays. You start disrupting rhythm. And once you start doing that, great things can happen around you. And Bain's the type of player who allows other players to succeed just for the simple things that he accomplishes almost on a snap by snap basis. I'm seriously, Paul. As far as a true freshman goes, I'm amazed. I've always been a big Ruben Bain fan. You know that. I was a huge fan. I didn't expect to see this already, though. I really didn't. Ruben Bain is going to be an absolute star for us. He will be.
Hey,
I have no problem saying that.
Lance Guidry's defense, all I can hope is that he can stay around for a long time.
Seriously, right? We got to keep these guys. That's the whole deal. Wow,
Shannon Dawson as well. All right.
Yeah, we got to keep these
That's
guys.
the thing, is keeping these coordinators, keeping this staff, man, because this is something we've been asking for a while, and we finally got it.
Yep, we got it, and now is the time. I mean, we've been willing to spend the money, and even down to the point, for our cornerback coaches and linebacker coaches and all that stuff. I mean, we're spending the money at what it takes to bring in guys who know how to develop our players finally, and we're seeing it on the field, dude. And we're seeing it at all levels. That's what's great, man. This is team harmony. Like, it's literally like it's hard. It's harm. Both sides are both elevating at the same time, it seems like, and it's just it's such a great thing to watch, man. It's just such a great thing to watch. It's a good time to be a Miami Hurricanes fan. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to touch about anything, please put in the chat. Any questions at all, be more than happy to discuss it with you guys. I think when Canes football is winning, you saw last season how miserable it was, how it was under Diaz. Like, things are more, conversations can be just more pleasant, I would say. There's less cursing. There's just more positivity because we actually see a good product on the field. and we're happier as individuals. We're not embarrassed saying, "Oh shit, well, we got Middle Tennessee State. Hope we win." Right?
Can you believe what we saw last year compared to what we're seeing now? I mean, it's unbelievable, man. It's the light was flipped, and the lights turned on now finally, and Miami is flying because of it. And what's crazy is there's always the talk about how if we were going to get back to the top, we were going to need to bring in some big names. We were going to need to bring in the big boys. Well, you know what we did? We went down to the FCS and we
Yeah.
grabbed two guys who have changed the culture of this team on both sides of the ball. And they've done it in a positive way, and they're kicking ass. That's freaking cool, in my opinion, man. That shows that
I think it's
got
it
guys who can
shows,
scout
Ross.
talent.
I mean, Josh Gaddis was the Broyles Award winner, and
Yeah. Look at that.
Kevin
Disaster.
Steele. Kevin Steele was our defensive coordinator last year. I didn't see anything impressive. He got the Alabama job, but I mean, does it really matter who's the coordinator with all the guys they have at Alabama? Does it really matter?
When you got that much talent? But even Alabama seems to be having issues,
Right. Well, defensively they're fine. I think it's more offensively.
I think with Saban there, the defense will always be strong, especially the secondary. That's always a strong point. For them,
Yeah.
linebacker play, they always make up for it somehow. But yeah, the offense just isn't as strong. This is a year that Miami could disrupt some things. We could make some noise if we do things right.
We could, we
really
could, we could. It's just week to week, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's beat Georgia Tech. Then we have Clemson at home. We said Texas A&M was the biggest game of the season. Now, Georgia Tech is then Clemson.
Clemson's a huge game, man. That is a huge game for us, regardless of their current stature or their current record. We haven't been able to get over the Clemson hump in a long time.
We have not.
We are playing better football than Clemson is playing right now. If we show up and we play Miami football against Clemson the way Clemson's been playing football, Paul, we can win that game.
I agree.
Absolutely. We can win that game.
I agree.
And that it's been a long time since I felt confident saying that against Dabo Swinney's team.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson's a weird team. They're just not clicking offensively, defensively either. It's just Dabo Swinney's frustrated. They don't have a kicker.
Yeah.
It's a mess over there for whatever reason. I think Dabo made a big mistake. He doesn't take any players from the transfer portal. Yeah. And that's what he believes in. But unfortunately, everyone else is taking players from the transfer portal, and it's helping their programs. Yeah. And I think that's where he shot himself in the foot.
He was, the big guy about development, in-house development, getting your recruits, building them up and having them, next man up, but having them be recruits. If he's going to stay at the stature he wants to stay at Clemson, he's going to have to learn how to navigate the transfer portal better. Simply. It's just plain and simple. He has to.
Hey, Ross, everyone listening, we're playing big boy football. We're not playing that Manny Diaz bullshit anymore. All right. This is big boy football.
Yeah.
We're coming in. We're beating SEC programs. All right. We're going to run through Georgia Tech. We got Clemson at home. We're going to take care of business. This is big boy business. This is none of that turnover chain bullshit. There's none of that G5. Oh, App State, they do this to everyone BS. All right, this is big boy football right now. We're going to bring in 5-star recruits. We're going to kick everyone's ass. We're going to go into Doak Campbell and take care of business. All right, this is the University of Miami. We have 5 national titles, 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and hundreds of NFL players that have came through this program. All right. We don't rely on turnover chains, none of that bullshit off the field stuff. All right. Absolutely. Mario Cristobal is our head coach. We're paying him $7 million a year for a reason. We trimmed a lot of fat last year. If you want to be a part of the ride, then hey, welcome to the University of Miami. If not, you can leave to SMU. Big boy football this upcoming season, and it's showing on the fields.
Pretty much.
That's all I got. That's all I got to say.
Man, not much else to say after that. Hey, did Texas A&M, they beat Auburn today, didn't they?
They won by 17, I believe.
Man, that makes it just makes our win look even better. I want A&M to keep winning. That just makes us look better and better and better. I mean, we climb up the rankings when A&M wins.
Yeah.
As long as we keep winning too.
Right, exactly. Well, hey, That's all I got, Ross. Anything you want to bring up before we wrap it up on tonight's show?
Nah, man, I think we covered it pretty good there. I just, man, just props to these young guys that are showing out, and props to these guys who are getting chance in the rotational depth showing out. I mean, just props to the Miami Hurricanes as a whole, and props to this coaching staff, man. You guys are freaking killing it. Awesome. Just freaking awesome. Love it. That's it for me, man.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate everyone for joining the show tonight. And always all about the U. Go Canes.